Hi everybody, this is Bill from TurboDial, and in this video we will show you how to use the Supervisor tools that are part of Dynamic Dial. We will go through what the monitoring features are that allow a supervisor to monitor calls. We'll show you how to authorize supervisors into that role, and we'll show you how to enable and use call monitoring. Here's the monitoring features that are available as part of Dynamic Dial. These are features that are intended to be used by a supervisor in your team, someone who's in the role of evaluating and training calling agents. First of all, you'll be able to choose one or more Dynamic Dial sessions to monitor. You'll be able to view a list of active calls in those sessions that you are monitoring. You'll be able to select a single call and begin listening to that call. And you'll be able to move from listening to a call to barging, which means having a two-way conversation with the parties on that call. To authorize a supervisor into your TurboDial account such that they have access to these monitoring tools, you'll need to find the authorized form in your TurboDial management account. That management account, as you probably know, is at sd123.customerhub.net. There's a form there, you'll find it in the menu, where you can add and remove user Infusionsoft ID email addresses. Those email addresses will be the email addresses for the people in your team who have supervisor rights for Dynamic Dial. Let's also show a TurboDial screen so we can walk through this. To enable monitoring in Dynamic Dial, first of all, if you are a supervisor, you will see a monitoring button right next to the Join button. Whenever there is a saved search that has been loaded for Dynamic Dial, you'll get to see that button. See, right now it says load. This saved search has not been loaded for Dynamic Dial. But if I go to one that has been, you'll see the monitoring button shows up. To enable monitoring for a list, I simply need to click the monitoring button once and it turns green. So clicking it again, it'll turn back to white, which means I'm not monitoring this list. If I click it again, it's green again, which means I am once again monitoring this list. So if I want to see if I'm monitoring a list, all I have to do is look at the list by selecting it in this selector, and here's the list that I am not monitoring. If I go to this list, I am monitoring this one. Authorized supervisors will see a monitor tab right here that they can click and display the monitoring tools. Once you have enabled monitoring for a list, calls that become active on that list will appear here, similar as shown in this image. What does that mean, active? That means when a call gets connected to an agent and the conversation is underway, it will appear here. Now, it could be that that agent is actually leaving a voicemail rather than having a live conversation, and that call will still appear here. The call bubble that appears here will show the number of seconds that that conversation has been underway, the name of the contact, and the agent in your team who is having the conversation. And there's be a blue triangle here. If you click that blue triangle, it will bring that contact into focus in TurboDial up here in the TurboDial panel. When a call finishes, that bubble here will disappear and will no longer be listed on your TurboDial panel. But since you may have multiple agents making calls, or you may be monitoring multiple different sessions, you may have multiple calls showing up here at one time, and in fact you may even need to scroll up and down in the list to find the call that you want to monitor. So before you can enter listen mode for a call, you must select it. When you click on the blue call bubble, it'll turn white and with a bold blue border around it. That indicates that you have selected this call. And before you listen to the call, you want to make sure that your calling device is set to the device that you want to be listening with. So if, for example, if you're using your headset plugged into your laptop or your computer, you'll want to set the calling device to this PC. If you want to listen instead using your desk phone, for example, you could choose your desk phone there, and when you begin listening, TurboDial will call your phone, and as you answer, you'll be patched in and listen to that call. Once you click the listen button, you'll be connected into that call. The other parties will not be able to hear you, and they will not be aware that you are listening. If you want to stop listening at any time, you can just click the hang up button in TurboDial. It'll hang you up and remove you from that call. Now, you can enter Barge Mode, which means you can have a two-way conversation with the people in the call. You must start by being in listen mode for the call. And then if you click the Barge button at that time, that call will then be modified such that the parties on that call can hear you. And if you speak, they'll hear you, and you will be able to join the conversation. If you want to leave the Barge Mode and leave that call, again, you can click the Hang Up button. Okay, everybody, that's how to use the monitoring tools that supervisors are enabled for in Dynamic Dial. Happy calling, everybody.